Good morning. Good morning. How's it going? Bill's got a few things that he needs to do this morning, so it's going to be a minute before we get started. So I just figured I might as well do something while I'm doing nothing. Oh, right on. Yeah. I'm still waking up too. I feel like I finished my coffee. Let me check. It could be just sitting around somewhere. Oh, treacherous. Yes, I'm doing a little volunteering. I don't remember exactly what we're doing. We could be going back and doing some trim and some flooring, or we could be going up to this other, uh, you know, city. This place actually has a population big enough to where you can actually call it a city, right? And installing a bunch of valves. These all their all their water, like under their sink or by their water tanks or whatever, under their toilets, whatever. They're all the old school ones where you like, what's up, Zaman? Uh, the ones where you got to turn and turn and turn and turn off or on. And we were like, these are old, and when they go, they're they're either stuck on or they're stuck off, and you're you're in a state, right? It's better just to get the cord to turn, you know. They're just better in every way. So they took us up on that advice, and they want us to come up and replace um, them. And I think there's another reason that we're going up there. I think there was they had their espresso machine like mainlined in, you know, for whatever reason, and somebody in another part of the building like had some work done, and that cut off the flow to that thing. So we have to like, uh, you know, remedy that. So we'll see what happens. um, it's so funny. A lot of people come in here when I first go live. There's always like between 20 and 30 something people that come in here, and then they're just like, I'm out of here. This is they just take off. But I can't really blame them. I do that to people too. I'll be like going through lives, and I'll be like, nah, nah, nah. So I don't know. There's something about me that puts them off. So maybe it's because I'm not. What's up, fam? too fat. Do I watch anime? I have before. My wife digs it. You know, she's not like super into it or anything like that, you know. I know there's people that are like they geek out on that shit. Um, but she's watched it before. I watched it before. She got into a couple little things and, you know, watched them. I can take it or leave it, you know. It's whatever. I know that there's people that, you know, that are out there that are like, what? Take it or leave it? That's blasphemy, you know. And then there's other people that are like, yeah, I I couldn't even take it, you know. At least you're giving it that much of a chance. But yeah, when it comes to that stuff, I'm indifferent. I really could care less about it. Um, but kind of find that people that ask that question are into it, right? You know, it'd be like me being like, "Hey man, do you watch anime?" Like, yeah, do you? No, I just want to know if you did. You know, so I'm assuming you dig it, which is totally fine. Um, the art kind of reminds me of stuff from the 80s done better. You know, there was a lot of like cartoons and stuff that was done back in the day, kind of like that never really took off. And it kind of reminds me of some of that stuff. These are like the old weird fringe, like superhero-ish fantasy type cartoons, and a lot of them, like, you know, showed boobs and had really weird villains and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff's actually available on YouTube. That stuff's pretty cool. Some of it's totally, you know, stupid, but me and my wife kind of got onto a kick of revisiting that stuff for a couple months, like just searching through YouTube and Netflix and, you know, all the channel providers, looking for those old cartoons because they're really kind of quirky and trippy. You know, a lot of that stuff was just made by people that were super high and you know, that affected the the show. Hello, Nuke. What are you up to today? Periodically, I need to, you know, take a hit of the vape and clear out the children. He's bad. How was your day yesterday? It was cool. This morning hasn't really begun yet. I'm just killing a little bit of time right now, waiting for a phone call. Ish. A text or a phone call. The dude might end up just swinging by because he's headed to a place that's near here. So we'll see what happens. You know, he might end up just stopping by. He might end up texting or calling or whatever. You know, it doesn't really matter. So we'll see what unfolds. Come on. Get stuck. There we go. Take Herman out for the swim, huh? Right on. Yeah, I dropped off homeboy earlier. And it was glorious. We had a short meeting before we parted ways. And I had to say goodbye. Come on. What is the message for the word? Ute message, your message for the word? I'm assuming you mean world. You know, it's kind of hard to say. Because you can say whatever it is that, you know, your message is, and people will just ignore it or disagree. That's fine, you know. We're pretty understanding here. If you struggle with English, we're not going to get mad or upset. You know, I only speak English, right? And I couldn't imagine me trying to speak another language with somebody. I'd just be lost. What am I making? I'm making something called a coil. Hi, what's up, USA? What's up, CJ? How you all doing? It looks like I've got some kind of knot starting here, and this wire has given me some troubles. Oh. I hate this. It just makes everything so much harder when you're dealing with this crap. Come on. Which way do you need to go? You know, it would help if I could see what the hell's going on, but you can't really. You know, when I'm wrapping the coil, it's all based on feel. And then when these knots happen, you have to try and untie a knot that you can't freaking see. All right, sorry, let me catch up here. Oh shit, is Rihanna in here? Oh damn, you fell asleep during the live. Yeah, I was gonna ask, you know, I thought maybe there was some sound or something that was going on and you dipped out. You know, I didn't know. I noticed that you weren't talking anymore. I didn't know why. I'm glad that you fell asleep and got some rest though. Tended to the plants. Just smoke one, chilling. Mm-hmm. That's right, you're growing some. Um, um, did you grow from seed or clone? And what kind of seed did you buy? If you bought seed, is this seed from flower? Because that can be great, depending on how that seed came to be. Because sometimes what can happen is the seed. I don't know who this is. Sorry, y'all. Sometimes the seed got into the plant because the plant um, freaked out, right? And it grew a little boy part and it pollinated itself, right? And all those seeds will end up being girls, right? That's where we get feminized seeds from. But what's bad about feminized seeds is all those seeds are prone to becoming hermaphrodites. And you can do a lot of moving and shaking, as it were, to stabilize them. Oh shit, I just missed a bunch of crap I had updated. And okay, yeah, the trip to didn't go until 4 p.m. Always I had Rihanna because sometimes she comes pops and does say, oh, okay. from seed. I found a seed in some firebud. 1 seed in a £1/4. Okay, that's probably pretty safe if you got 1 seed in a £1/4. And it's been doing good so far. Been in flower about 3 weeks. Yeah, I've had some issues with some plants with weird mutations. But yeah, that's where we get feminized seeds from. A lot of people will be like, yeah, man, I bought feminized seeds, you know, no boys. They think they've locked in and, you know, they're set now. And they really don't realize that they've bought garbage, you know. It's, you know, these are all things that happen to genes. Autoflower. Yeah, and autoflower is garbage too. I was just about to get into the explanation as why. Like, think of like landrace seeds or landrace strains as like the wolf or the coyote or the African wild dog or the dingo, right? Those are unaltered breeds, right? And there's landrace strains out there that have not been messed with. They are pot, right? And then when you get into like autoflowers, feminized seeds, and all this frankenweed, those are like the poodles and all these other, the pugs, you know, these animals that have taken so much breeding and so much manipulation to turn a wolf into a pug, something that can't even breathe anymore, something that is going to live 10 years. Well, yeah, good landrace strains, right? What kind of sucks about them is I mean, they're great, right? To start a genetic program with, you know, to do your own bullshit to them, because they are like 13%, right? They're not like, if you get into like the landrace strains that are like from Afghanistan, those are drug level dopes, which is like where, you know, that's once that stuff got discovered, that's when everybody started breeding in all these kushes and indica type stuff. But you know, if you start with something like that, you could end up with like you know, a wolf and a pit bull, you know, and make some badass dog that's not so far away from the original, you know. I hope I'm making sense. Instead of taking like a poodle, which got all this lost information, and trying to go back to good, which you can't because it's gone. You know, you can never go back to wolf with chihuahuas and poodles. You get what I'm saying? And you know, science will call that evolution. Hey, good morning, baby. but it isn't. That isn't evolution at all. It's just not even close to evolution because they're still all dogs, right? We're not turning dogs into bananas or bananas into dogs, right? It's called speciation. It's a variety within a kind. But, the scientific community will tell you that, evolution is real, and, we've taken bacteria and we've seen evolution happen with the bacteria. It's like, okay, what'd you end up with? Bacteria. Oh, you know, doesn't sound like you fucking did anything, you know? Stop lying to me. I mean, shit, we still have single-celled bacteria. Since the beginning of time, single-celled bacteria has never turned into two-celled bacteria. You piece of shit. Look at this. I don't know if I can even show this to you. That's horseshit. This stuff pisses me off. Maybe I can show you. Maybe I can't. I'm trying to show you hairs. Where am I here? Oh, wrong spot. See this? This thing was going freely around the entire time, and I got stuck underneath this guy. That's not supposed to happen. A few times I've run into knots in here. I don't know, guys. Should just make you want to pull your freaking hair out. Because of that, I only got this much good wire. I don't even know if that's enough to make one coil. Bam, dog. And they're from where my migraines come from. So, how long you grew it from seed? I'm guessing you're doing it outdoor. I don't know. How long did you veg them for? Or did you just throw them outside and let them do their thing? Yeah. Yeah, I need to have that stuff looked at, babe. No buens. Going to get coffee. Yes. Coffee. Coffee's good. They're like, one's like here and one's like here, you know. No, it's not lymph node stuff. They kind of feel like half a BB underneath the skin. So it's not like swollen glands or any of that stuff. It just kind of feels like a, like a little, yeah, little rock type thing. Burb. Okay. Well, shit. That didn't turn out the way I want. Garbage. I don't think I'm awake yet. I tried some of those gray batteries in the Mac yesterday, and they kick ass. Those are good batteries. It makes sense that they were $4 or $5 instead of $2. You know, which is such a crazy good deal. Stupid cheap. Stupid cheap. Huge crashing sound and fighting. Huh. Is this two women, two men, a man and a woman, adults and children? What's the situation? That's always interesting when people can't freaking control themselves. You know, where I live, you know, I live by a few houses that have been rentals for most of my life, and they were owned by Mr. Slumlord, right? So a lot of low-income people would move into these places, and so a lot of drug use and whatever, and yeah, it's funny, you know, like when you're a little kid and you don't know what certain people look like when they're on certain drugs. You just have no idea. But now that I'm older and I know, you know, like how you can look at somebody and be like, that guy is a tweaker. That guy smokes crack. That person is an alcoholic. You know, because they wear that shit on their face, right? A lot of crack, a lot of meth was going through these houses. And this was back in the day, too. So it was like the old school biker meth. And clean, strong crack. You know? The good stuff, right? And then he came to apologize when I got home from the city. He works on rigs, couple. Man and woman, no kids. Anyway, the rig went down, and he was waiting for parts, so he came home early to find his wife in 8 years in bed with another man. Okay, so there was sure, depending on the person, you can be like, okay, I see the situation. I see the invitation you're handing me. I'm not going to get upset. Goodbye. And then there's other people that take that invitation and they lose control. They give up their control. And they might even blame the person for them losing control of themselves. And, these are the person that, as they're getting arrested, they're pointing the finger at whoever. And if you wouldn't, I wouldn't, shut up, dipshit. I had no idea, except that she always avoids me. Well, were you really missing out? All the good times you could have been having with Miss Whore. Yeah, now these batteries kick ass. And this is just this is a 0.2. So this isn't like super sub almond or anything, but yeah, I like it. 0.2, 0.3. Those are really good for rocking on one of these guys and getting some really good flavor. The ramp up is, depending on what you run your watts at, the ramp up can be reasonable, and you can get a good spectrum of flavors. You get into the super sub ohm stuff, and it's just right now hot, especially on a Mac, and that's sure. I mean, if you're rocking the right juice, it'll taste great, but well, I try not to jump to conclusions. Not everybody that's avoiding people are hiding things. Some people avoid people because they're scared of people. You know what I'm saying? Who knows what has happened to them to lead them to those, the conclusion that they need to be afraid. But, for whatever reason they are doing it, there is some kind of weirdness going on. Hey! I mean, there are some situations where, you can come to a conclusion just logically, make an educated guess. But that's one thing I've tried to slow my roll on in as I've gotten older is jumping to conclusions, why people do what they do. But like I said, there's some instances where you can just know, you know. Like, why is that guy kicking that dog? Oh, it's because he's an asshole. You know. Oh, look at. We got a kitty outside. I don't know if you can be able to see it for very long. It's behind the tire. Oh, you can barely see it. Just went right there into the bush. I forget that one's name. People are drawn to you. Maybe you have an inviting energy. I kind of get the opposite effect. Until people talk to me. I shouldn't really say that. Some people I find are very drawn to me. I don't know what the deal is, but I find that on average, some people are kind of standoffish when it comes to me, but then once they kind of talk to me, they're like, oh, huh. Whatever. They kind of realize I'm not whatever they thought. And then some of them, after talking to me, they take off because I'm not into craziness, and they're into craziness. And I'm not afraid to be like, well, that's stupid. That doesn't make sense, right? Here's why. Oh, I see. Yeah, what's up, Droopy? Oh, on the lunch break. But I actually haven't started my day yet in that regard. I'm waiting on a call. At some point, that will happen. a call or a text, and then I'm going to find out what's on the docket for the day, because I don't quite remember. There's a few things that I could be doing, and I just don't remember. So, whatever. No big deal. Sometimes I don't remember stuff. Yeah. But today is Thursday. You're right. Or you remember to forget. That's always a good thing. It's like, oh damn it. I'm supposed to do that today. Nope. Let's forget that. Oh shit, okay. Well, whatever, I guess. Money is money. That sucks, though. I was kind of looking forward to hanging out with my whiff at a slightly reasonable hour. All day Saturday. But are you off Sunday? Sunday and Monday. From both places on Monday? What's going on Monday? Is that like some special day or something, or just what? Monday's Labor Day. Okay. Yeah, I never keep track of any of that stuff, so um, kind of a floater when it comes to that shit. Paid day off. Oh, really? Well, that's a good problem, I guess. is your federal holiday. Huh. Yeah, I'm not familiar with all the Canadian stuff. You know, I'm not even familiar with all the ones that we've got anymore. I wasn't even familiar with all the ones that we had before they added all the other ones that are stupid. You son of a bitch. I don't know what's going on here, but this wire has been having a tendency to go back on itself like a piece of shit. Yes, the silver linings. We can enjoy them as they rear their heads. They don't come often. All right, hopefully we can get this to undo. Come on. Come on. Come on. There we go. Right. Yeah. Yeah. The freebies, they're hardly ever like, hey, here I am. Come on. You piece of shit. Come on. This one, this is being a bastard. All of this right here, all this wire, unusable now. Can't use her. So that jackassery that just happened. I haven't put a calendar up since I moved, but our calendars show both U.S. and Canadian federal holidays. But I never noticed we share the same date. Only public servants actually get the day off. Huh. With pay. Well, lucky them. You piece of shit. Come on. Just drive me crazy. Mm-hmm. I wonder if I can pull off this wrap. Oh, look at that. Now I can start over. cut off and straighten another piece and, you know, skip 3 steps. They get time and a half pay though. Well, that's cool. You know, if I remember correctly, when I was working shutdowns, you know, it didn't matter what holiday it was. You worked. Okay, baby. So, you know, I mean, think about it. When there's a shutdown going on, big oil isn't making money. They're shut down. And they want to get back up and running as quickly as possible. And so when I hear people being like, I had to work during Christmas, I had to work, so what? You know, who cares? You know, go change your diaper. And, you know, I mean, if you get it off, that's a bonus. That's great. But don't complain because I don't know, dude. You have a job. You know? You got a job. You don't like your job, get a better job. Well, in this economy, and shut up. Everybody's in the same fucking boat. You know? Right. You know, freight. It is being sent from China or whatever. It was like, Christmas? What the fuck is that? I've heard of this Christmas. Maybe China's a bad example, you know, but there are countries that, you know, literally can give a shit. Yeah, no, no, I understand, right? But it's good to be disappointed. My problem is with complaining, right? Now, pitching a decent bitch, you know, that's that's all fine and dandy, you know. But yeah, no, I get it. Well, we can work around those things, you know. Who says that you have to celebrate Christmas on that day? You know, if Christmas is, really about family and all this other stuff, you can have it on the 3rd of July or whatever, you know. Missed my damn loop. Where'd you go? Right. Yeah, man. But the medical field, that's another one of those things. Um, we're taking the day off. Um, Nobody die today. Don't get sick. It's like, oh, 911. No, we're on holiday. Like you get some stupid message. Yeah, dude, we're sorry. Come on, you bastard. Where'd my damn hoop go? This cannot be done without the hoop. "911 is closed for the holiday. Please try 411." Oh, really? Brought half their single friends? That's kind of interesting. So did they get like an extra long break? Like Christmas dinner break? Like a 2-hour break or something like that? I don't know. This is the first I've heard of that. I mean, it's kind of cool. Okay, huh. Gotta stop wearing Velcro socks. That sounds prickly. You know, I had a grandfather, right? He only wore Velcro shoes. It's like I never saw him in anything else. Like the shoes with the two Velcro straps. I mean, whatever, but that was my grandpa on my mom's side, the Canadian. He was a trip. This keeps happening, and it pisses me off. Core has slipped out of here to somewhere. Right there. Too fast. Is it the same gauge as the last few? Yeah. No, I'm not going too fast. I mean, I normally run this as fast as this drill goes. I think I'm just getting my angle wrong. Um, there's quite a bit less wire on this spool than there was when I first started this whole thing, and I think it's messing up my angle. So I think I'm gonna try backing the spool down away a bit. Because I normally like to have it right up on it, but it keeps, like, it'll go for a little bit and then all of a sudden it backtracks. So I'm gonna see what happens here. giving me shit. Piece of shit. I don't know what the deal is. It's driving me crazy. Oh. Funny shit. You guys are you're quick on your head feet. I like that. The old balloon knot wants your lips again. You guys gonna tie the knot? Like a Boy Scout. Like a sailor, a mariner. Like a Navy man. A Philly sailor. Yes. Yeah, my uncle, he was in the Navy. He's gay. Maybe there is some truth to it. I'm going to keep doing this shit till I get one right. This is just horse shit. Three knuckle punch special. All right, I'll be right back. This thing is getting full. Empty the damn thing. Dun, dun, dun. Must be the same isolation prisoners have to reconcile with. Either gay or not, very discerning as to the whole. Their multiple partners aren't within you. Their multiple partners are. I have something to say about that I learned recently. It's kind of weird. Speaking of multiple partners and gay people, something that I learned. It's a real statistic. It'll blow your fucking mind. Only in the Navy do 300 men go out to sea. Ask a manatee. Brown eye opener. All right, so check this out. The average gay man, right? Now this is average. There's people that are lower, there's people that are higher, right? Has 600 partners a year. I'll be right back. trying to a day. Well, no, you'd think that, right? I was going to make a gay joke, but fuck that shit. Come on. Stick to that older. Let's take a minute, right? You'd think it's 2 a day, right? But that's not what has come to light. It's that it's orgies and stuff. Like I've I've looked into this, and it was a very dark and nasty, because I didn't believe it. Right? I was like, that is crazy. Someone is just super anti-gay and spreading lies about these people. The gathering of the juggalos. But I looked into it, and I found a bunch of these interviews and stuff like that, and it was freaking gross, man, what I ended up finding. Right. There's situations where these guys will get all spun on speed, right? And it just kind of becomes like this free-for-all. Like I was watching this one video, it was an interview with this guy, if you want to call it that, this tiny little twink dude, right? Who actually got his back broken during sex, right? And he starts out his interview being like, yeah, I normally don't do speed, but, you know, I was with this guy and he did some, and so I did some, and then, you know, so we just started calling people, and, you know, a whole bunch of guys came over, and, you know, they ended up breaking his back. Brokeback Mountain. Then I found this other video of this other guy, and this guy was like an ugly dude, right? And he's like, I forget where he was. It looked like he was in a courtroom, to be honest with you. But right. And he just basically was like, yeah, I plan to be with 20 men tonight. Right? And it's like, what? So there's you know, when you think about it, right? You've got, you know, the sexual drive of men, right? And they're normally looking for girls, right? In like a normal situation. Not in that situation. They're looking for dudes who have the same drive, right? And yeah. And you can also listen to some of the interviews of people that have come out of that lifestyle, and they'll be honest about, you know, what the bar scene was like, and just how, you know, gross some of their closer friends were, and whatever, you know. But anyways, I'm done talking about that shit. Um, it was it was foul, to say the least. Okay, are we dealing with knots again? No. Shifting sticks. Yeah. Making fires. Okay. You're going to work this time, aren't you? You piece of shit. Back in the 90s, a buddy of mine and I were doing a DJ gig. He got hired to do a DJ at Goth Industrial Evening at a gay bar in Denver for 3 weekends. The shit I saw in the bathroom was fucking foul. Sure. And I'm sure you smelled some pretty gnarly shit too. Um, you know, we, my band, my previous band, we played one show at a gay bar. I forget who we played with. Some Bellingham band. Um, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was the drummer's girlfriend's band. And it ended up being like a pretty cool show, you know. I'm pretty sure everyone in there was pretty high. Um, but there was like, as I'm like on stage and looking around that place, some of the people that I saw in there were like such a trip, dude. I mean, there was like people in there dressed like fucking Morpheus and like you know, like I don't know, it was the weirdest scene, you know. Yeah. Um Show me. Go. Go. It was probably the Coen brothers. Yeah, trans is just weird. I have some friends that have done that to themselves. You know what I'm saying? And let me put it this way. I can have a conversation and get along with the ones that don't believe that, like, they're now a guy or they're now a girl. You know, I can talk to the people that are like, yeah, no, I do this because there's something wrong with my brain. And I can recognize that. Like, there's something wrong with me. That's why I feel comfortable pretending I'm something else. That isn't normal. I can recognize that. But the people that are like, no, I'm a man now, or I'm a girl now, and you need to, or you know, those people are fucking off their rocker. They're crazy, you know, and the people that I know that are like that, they feel the same way. They're like, no, those people are fucking nuts, and they're gonna fuck it up for everybody. And what do you know? They have. Gay and trans people, I believe, aren't individually bad, just as bad and likely abuse have some relative trauma. And having right, that is the thing too, you know. Um, well, thanks a lot, Adventure. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a trip. The whole thing's a trip, you know. Um, see, I know this isn't a popular opinion, right? I know that. But my experience proves to me that it's true. I actually don't believe that there are truly gay people. I believe that there are um, straight people and deceived straight people. That's my opinion on it. And the reason I believe that is because there are thousands upon thousands of people that have come out of that lifestyle, and they're not like that anymore. You know, now the alphabet people, they'll say that these people are, pretending that they're straight, they were born that way, they're now fighting gay thoughts or whatever they want to say. But they aren't, that's just not true. Um, I know personally some of these people. My wife is an example. She used to be, gay, was, a pride marching, you know, married to a woman, um, the whole thing, you know, and she's not gay anymore. And not only is she not gay, she can't believe she ever was. You know, and a lot of people can't stand to hear that, because it's like they just don't want to hear it. Oh my God, you have a cat in the house. What are you talking about? Yeah, no, they totally deserve dignity and should be treated like people. And, um, I'm not, I'll never be like an asshole or whatever to these people. I'm related to some of these people, but that's how I feel, you know. And what's this cat you're talking about, CJ? Yeah, that's true. We are all susceptible. Oh, that was probably Roxy. She jumped up on the couch back here. No, I get what you're saying. I don't, when you said that, I didn't think you were putting me in that box. I think you were just making a statement. And I was agreeing with you. Um, okay, let's fucking do this. Oh, we would have made it if it hadn't broke off the chuck. But I think I figured out what's going on here. All right, we'll see you, Drew. You have a good one, man. Oh, just the tail. Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting a cat. Roxy loves cats, depending on the cat. I've had, a few cats, and as long as the cat stands their ground, and whenever Roxy does like the thing, and the cat just kind of like stands there, and it's like, what are you trying to do? Scare me? Knock it off. Roxy eventually is like, oh, okay, this cat's cool, and then they end up becoming buddies, and they, play with each other, and end up, laying down with each other and being buddies. But if the cat runs or does any of that weak stuff, yeah, Roxy, she's gonna, turn into predator mode and start trying to kill it, or at least chasing it. And that's cool. Yeah, the last cat that I had, his name was Number 2, and he didn't, he wasn't impressed by any of her bullshit. We got a bunch of pictures of them, laying down together and being friends. Oh, well, I guess that's good and bad. It's bad if you want another pet, but it's cool that you got a cat that's cool. Okay, we will see. God, man, that took a while to get. Oh, stray barn cat never left. Yeah, those cats have seen some shit. It's like a war vet. You know. You hate cats but love him. Sounds like you like cats if it's the right cat. Some cats are cool. You know. They sometimes you can get the cat that doesn't really give a shit about you. Like sometimes it'll come up and sit on your lap and you're like, oh, hey, this cat's loving on me, but it's not really. It's just using you for heat. But then you also get the cat that acts like a dog and hated. It follows you around everywhere, and it wants to be a part of whatever you're doing, and it's a cool cat. This must not be lined up right properly. I tried bringing her to the foster kitten when we had what we were trying to get her used to. Going to school with the boy, companion, or adjust, Well, it took us a long time to get that wire, and I don't think we got hardly anything usable out of that fucking thing. She was vicious. That sucks. Yeah, some cats are just mean, dude. And they got claws. And what I think is kind of weird, you know, is people will like keep the cat if it's like that. No one would put up with that shit if it was a dog. You know, like a dog that bites. You know, like you go up to like pet the, you know, dogs don't claw or do any of that bullshit. But imagine if like there was a dog that behaved that way. They'd be like, yeah, let's get rid of homeboy. You know, this dog's stupid. It doesn't get it. We like own it, and it's not vibing with us, man. You know, but people will put up with stupid stuff. When it comes to cats, it's really kind of weird. I've been to I've seen a lot of cats in people's houses where the cat is just a dick. And that could be why a lot of people are like, you know, I don't like cats. They're stupid. You know, too many people are hanging on to dumb fucking cats, man. Okay, maybe. I mean, look at that. Out of all that, maybe got that much. It's the only time she was like that. It was shocking. There's this dude that comes down here every once in a while with his damn dog. And, you know, he always comes down here, lets the dog go into the field a little bit. And if I'm ever outside with Roxy, Roxy bolts towards this dog. And this dog thinks he's, you know, a little Billy badass. And, you know, Roxy has to kind of give it a little spank. And the guy's nice enough. Kind of looks like he's either currently partying or has done a lot of partying in the past. And he's wearing it. Is there any more on this that's any good? That is just disappointing. Oh wow, she pushed through the screen, huh? Yeah, it sounds like your cat's a gangster. That's pretty burls. That's hardcore. That's pretty hardcore. She weighs only 4 pounds. Yeah, cats are pretty dainty, you know. Yeah, that's no good either. Has some mess ups in it. So how are you feeling today, CJ, after all the rest that you got? Oh, she's a dwarf. A dwarf kitty. Do you feel rested, or do you feel like you overslept and like tired? Sometimes I can feel like that if I've slept too much. I wake up and it's like I'm tired, you know. It's like this doesn't make any sense. Still tired, yeah. Yeah, that's bullshit. $40 worth of beef jerky. Damn. Right on. That's that's a meal. Jerky's good. You said he's how old did you say he was? 13? I think you said he was 13. I don't remember exactly what age you said he was, but I remember the age that you said he was like, oh, that's a tough age. 13, 15, something like that. Oh, an A&W burger. You know, we used to have an A&W here, but like the food really took a turn for the worst. It was it used to be pretty decent. Um, you know, you can go in there and get, you know, a float and whatever, you know, and a burger and all that stuff, but it just it just took a big shit with the quality. There might still be one here, you know, I don't know. I haven't been there since I was a kid. 14 in October. Right on. Yeah. Yeah, being a teenager's tough, man. I couldn't imagine what it would be like, you know, these days. You know, when I was growing up, all we had to contend with was like peers and reality. You know, now you've got these kids like trying to keep up with all kinds of like fantasy type stuff that's all produced through um, social media. You know, you get all these people posting things and um, that's not their real life, you know, and they might think that they need to live up to that. You know, that's the standard. And it's like, well, you don't realize that it took them, you know, 1,000 tries to get that uh, to look like that. And none of that's real. Uh-huh. Yeah, I have YouTube and Discord. I also have an Instagram, that's right. Um, you know, I there was um, a few people that tried to convince me to get on Snapchat and stuff like that. But, it turns out that they were um, pretty much just wanting me to do that so they could send me weird pictures and stuff like that. And I'm not into that. I know I'm a guy and all that, but I don't need that shit in my life. Really kind of weird that these younger people, 20s or whatever, and probably even younger, right, are into like, essentially sending each other porn. I couldn't imagine, like because I had no idea what Snapchat was about, you know what I'm saying? And once I kind of realized what it was used for, it kind of like, um, the thought came to my mind, like, wow, the people that run Snapchat, right? Sure, the pictures apparently, like, they go on and then they can be erased or something, right? And that's like how people feel safe to like send this shit to each other so they can't be caught or whatever. But I'm sure it stays right on Snapchat, like whoever is running the brain of it, right? So I'm sure there's, some Zuckerberg figure, right, that has pictures of all of these kids, right, from all over the world. And I just couldn't, that's crazy to me. To me, it seems like a child predator's idea. Like, I know what I'll do. Instead of like, trying to deal this stuff and getting in trouble, I'll just create an app that will incentivize the trading of this stuff between themselves. They can do it because they're of the same age, but I'll get it all because it's like it's my fucking app. you know right. It's all weird to me, but yeah, I had it for maybe a day, you know and I was like, first of all, the app is um super cheesy, right? And I was like, this is stupid, you know. I recognize the word "or" and Islam. What are you saying there, Diego? Huh? What are you talking about? You gonna tell us what you mean, or are you just coming here to fart in a room and then take off? Who knows? You know, he probably just has his script, and you know, if anybody deviates from the script, you know, he doesn't know what to say. You know, which is why I've tried to educate myself on these issues. You know, because I find that a lot of the people don't actually know what they're talking about. Um, you know, they just repeat things that they hear, and um, you know, they haven't really actually thought about what they're talking about. Repeating slogans. Like, speaking of not really thinking about what you're saying, there was this kid that used to go around in high school, right? And he'd be like, "Hey, Deez likes you." And someone would be like, "What?" "I said Deez likes you." And they'd be like, "Deez? Who's Deez?" He'd be like, "Deez nuts." Ooh, you know? And I'd see him doing this shit to people, right? And he came up to me and did it one time, right? And he was like, "Hey, Adam, Deez likes you." And I was like, I knew what he was going to do. So I was like, "Deez who?" And he's all, "Deez nuts." Ooh. And his whole little group of buddies, you know, they do the start high fiving and doing all this fucking bullshit, right? And I was like, "Are you trying to tell me that your balls like me? You have gay balls?" And then, like, his whole crew was like flabbergasted. Like, they didn't know what the fuck to say. You know, like, oh shit, he got you, homie. Oh shit. Oh, you know, it's like, well, listen to what the fuck you're actually going around and telling people. You know, you're essentially going around and telling the school that you have gay balls. Dipshit. Anyways. They weren't the brightest little group of kids. You know. They were like the guys that say foo a lot. All right, I'm back. So somebody's going to be here in like 2 minutes here. So I'm going to have to split real quick, like. Yeah, sup, foo. All the foos. So much foo. All right, well, I should probably not even start this. This dude is like, he's going to be here in like probably 30 seconds. But I'll leave that right there like that. Move this over here, away from the table, or the edge of the table, so Roxy doesn't. Yeah, well, remember, we're jamming too. So, what? What do you smell? You need to go potty? You be good, okay? Roxy, be good. Be good. Rock up. Go poop. She's got her haunches up. So worried about something. Okay, I'll do that. I'll let you know when that's happening. It should be 6 o'clock. We'll probably jam from 6 till 7. Maybe 7:30. It really depends. But we'll just have to see. And I'm also gonna talk to the guys, see if we can switch it from Thursday to another day. So we'll see. Come on, bitch. Yeah, dude just pulled dogs in my driveway. All right. I'll see y'all.